I mean, a lot of people talk about money, and nobody talk about your own journey. I went from super successful to have absolutely nothing, you know, because when I got fired from all the companies, because I also was a CEO for every company, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any savings. I didn't have anything, you know. The only thing I owned was on the paper, but the paper is worth nothing when you can't sell it. Remember my first flight when I paid in business class? It cost me 50 euros. It was to Miami, and I was sitting in the flight seat. First time in my life I was flying business class. I felt I did something illegal. This was so cool. I mean, that champagne, I don't think it was champagne, tastes so well. I mean, like, what the hell am I experiencing, you know? I'm living the rich life, sitting in business class.
And if there's one thing you want to say to them, hello, it's about you.
Yeah, hi.
What would you want to say?
I would say I have one policy in my life that actually helps me out. Always go to bed with a good...
Amir Amora owned several companies, started his entrepreneurial journey when he was 18 years old, and now owns the Black American Express card. No need to say more about that. He spent over 91 hours and 30 minutes in the air within 9 days. But not just in the air as in on radio, no, literally like in the air, up in the sky. Traveled since 2021 to over 50 countries and over hundreds of cities. This man lived a crazy life, and today we dive into a glimpse of the stories and lessons of all of that.
What an introduction, huh?
There you go.
That's a humble introduction.
Well, you can all just find it on Google, so it's
True.
But you were not born rich, like,
no,
that's not how it started.
No, I was not, no. I mean, we had a really good childhood. I mean, our parents did well in the way that, you know, we were able to have everything in the way, but I mean, we were not rich. So
because you were born in Sweden.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And then you also brought up there by your parents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my parents. My father moved in first in Sweden, so he was studying as an engineer first, but he moved in like in the 70s in Sweden. So that's very, very long time. So he moved there very young.
And where is he originally from?
From Jordan, both of them, yeah.
Both of them, and now they came together in Sweden.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's how you came up. Yeah, you have brothers and sisters as well?
I have one little brother, actually.
One little brother?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yes, it's very nice. He lives in Norway now also.
Also, yeah, because at some point you moved to Norway?
Yeah, that's correct. That was when I was 21, 22.
22?
Yeah.
So then the whole restaurant keten?
That was in Sweden, actually.
That was in Sweden?
Yeah, I was 18 when I started my first company. It was in hospitality and restaurants. So that I was doing until 21, 22.
Okay, but now we go over it really quick. Well, I just started that and then I moved to Norway. But when you were 18 years old, how did it come up to mind to start a company just in general? Because right now you have all the influencers and stuff. Yeah. But back then, you did not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How did it come to mind?
I mean, I was always like curious, and I always wanted to run my business because my father had his own business. So I learned very, very young, and math was always my thing. So I love to like work with numbers and business, and so. But the whole started actually. I was going to school to be a chef. So I was studying as that, and then I was working on the side, like doing the high school parties for the olders. So yeah, so in different restaurants and nightclubs that I was working on. So I was working full time as also when I was going in school. So yeah.
That's always something about just always wanting to be working.
Yeah, but I mean. I think I was, like I said, I was always very curious about stuff. And then I also had like a mentality in that time that if I was working twice as much, than other people in my age in school, I will learn twice as much.
Where did it came from? Because that's not the most normal mentality to have when you're at 18.
Good question. I never really reflected about that. I just wanted to come to the goal. I mean, now when I'm thinking about when you ask that question, I think I like to move fast. I'm very impatient in that way. I worked on that now, but I'm very impatient. I think I like to do things quick. So I think that's why I did it. And sometimes also with the school, like when we was learning being as a chef, right? I also stayed after school to work with the people who was the adults, because they had like a adult school as well for people who wanted to do something differently. So I was working also after school, in school, because I wanted to learn more. So
just crazy about all the learning, crazy about just getting better.
Yeah, but I think it comes down to I don't like to do something half. You know, I want, when I go in, I want to be the best in everything I do. That's how my mentality is, and it's not like I want that I think I am the best. I want to be the best. That's my end goal, because I want to be the expert in the field that I'm doing. That's always been in my head, I think.
And then you started the restaurant business. So when you were 18, but actually you started before the restaurant. You started with hosting the parties for the older grades.
Yeah.
So in theory,
yeah.
Even though it was not an officially registered company,
yeah,
that's where your entrepreneurial journey really started.
You could say like that. I didn't earn any money in that way though, because it was just fun, and for the person that I worked in the cafeteria, because I was employed, so maybe earned like $5 an hour or something like that. So for me, it was never about the money, you know, and it's still not are. You know, I'm still sticked into that. So. But you can probably say that. I think I got my first job when I was 13. It was not legal to work because in Sweden you need to be 15. But we managed some way, you know, that we could work 2-3 weeks in a place. So yeah. And
that was also a restaurant, so that's how the whole thing came up to be a cook. Or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean it was like what can I say? It's a camping place. So I was doing like everything, cutting the trees and grass and you know, the dishes. I did everything, but I think that's how I get very interested in to be working in the kitchen or restaurant in general, because I always had a vision in my head that I'm gonna be like something with economy. That's how always been my dream. But when I, you know, got into that, I was like, yeah, let's be a chef. But I realized when I was 17 that to be earning money or good living, because it was very hard hours, you know. I was in that time as well. I mean, some days we started 8 in the morning and finished like in the midnight. So I realized like this is not the future if I'm gonna have family or, you know. And to becoming a world famous chef, it's very, very small and very, very more about network than how really good are you in the kitchen. And I can also see it now. So I knew very, very early in the stage, in high school actually, that this is not going to be my future. It can't be my future because it's too much of a gamble of your life and to becoming successful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So in that way, your ambitions were too high to be a chef, and there's nothing wrong if you just be a chef. There's nothing wrong. It's like it's really a hard job.
It's very hard job.
And to be a good chef,
yeah. I mean,
it's,
all credits to this guy. Yeah,
it's hard. It's all credits to that.
Totally, yeah. So it's a very, very hard work.
But for you, it was not aligned with the vision you had for yourself in your own life.
I think like, exactly. I didn't want to take that risk to spend 10, 15 years of my life and maybe not gonna make it, because it's gonna be a little bit on luck, you know, mostly on luck in that way, you know. So I didn't want to take that chance, to be honest.
And then you took an even higher chance to start a business.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't see it like that, you know, because okay, I was 18, I saved up a little bit of money, like, you know, I had 8,000 euros, I was missing 20 to open a official company, And the guys that I was working with that owns also the real estate, they saw some potential in me in that time, and they was like, yeah, but what is your dream? Like I said, yeah, open a restaurant, or for my friends, and they're like, yeah, we have actually a place. I was thought it was joking, So like, yeah, I call you next week, and they called me actually next week. So I was very shocked. So yeah.
How did you pick up the phone?
I was like, okay, yes, I'll be there,
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think at all, So then I saw the place, and I remember I was hanging here when I was younger as well, so I knew the place from before. It was very cool, 2 floors, and so they weren't like very, very cheap rent, and and I was like, yeah, let's go. How do I do it? So that's the way we started. So
and then you have your real estate to actually have your restaurant in.
Yeah.
And you started.
Oh, no, I rented it. Yeah.
How do you start that? Because
I mean, I was a little bit lucky in that place because it was like they renovated the kitchen with the ventilation and stuff for almost $200,000. So that was like brand new. So the only thing I need to focus on was like the interior. So the first thing I was thinking, like, okay, what does it work in my hometown? It's a lot of people love rock music, and the cool thing with rock music is like you don't have like an age span in the restaurant. Some places like, oh, here are all the teens, here's the people who's older, here's the place with 25 to 35. But rock bar can connect everyone. Everybody comes for the music. And I didn't listen to rock. I had no clue what rock. I'm a hip hop guy, I was like, people, my friends were like, what the hell are you doing, man? You're dark. You listen to hip hop and you're gonna open a rock bar, So a lot of people was actually laughing at me at that time, even club owners in the town, because like 18 years old guy, who do we think he is, But
who loves hip hop opens a rock bar.
Kind of, yeah. I didn't say that though, but
can you imagine how hard they laugh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I was like, keep my head down. I was only thinking like this could be a cool place for my friends to come. Eat a good burger, take a beer, and we started, and it was a successful place by night. So that's how everything started in that time. So fast forward, we built up more restaurants, hotels, and so on.
Well, how did that go? Because you say fast forward, but that's not something that happens within a day.
No, it went. When I opened the bar, it went very quick, and everybody saw it was a successful place, So because that's maybe the first time in history the whole, south part of Sweden, that people actually travel from other cities to our city, the city I had, to go to the rock bar. So it was very, very successful, and it was very, people loved the concept because we had different like music genres every day. So that's how it started. Like then I took over the next place. Then I built like another one, like more for people in public, like 25, 30 to 40. So we started with different nightclubs there. So that's how it went very, very quick. And like I said, I like to go very quick to the goal. Yeah. So
and what was your secret in being able to be so quick? Because you cannot do that on your own.
No, totally. Of course, it was a lot of good people around me, and but also I was not a good leader at that time. I was very young, and and I have no education, I have but I think that is the best time I had in that way, because I failed so much in like everything, like literally I failed like in every section you can think about. But it was good, it was good for me as a person, because I grow, right? If I look to the man I am today, wow, it's like it's completely different. So it have both negative and positive things, when you move forward. And I always heard all my life that like the staff never follows. You work too fast, and that's actually correct, because it's you need to take it in the tempo you need to. Especially in the hospitality industry, because it takes some time to people never like changes, I think entrepreneurs and other people, we don't mind. You know, for me, it's like you can drop me whatever you want in the world. I'll make sure I manage. You know, and that's how. What can I say? When you do things too fast, you also make a lot of bad deals. And that's how I ended up in Norway, actually, because when I was 21, I wanted to sell out and do an exit and be done with all that, because I felt like I never lived my life as I wanted to, because I was very young, and all my friends went to travel, and
it's really hard working, like especially if you own multiple places.
Yeah.
In that way, with a nice concept, the concept works. And then you want something else.
Yeah.
But like it's a hard thing to manage. But
I mean,
how did you manage at such a young age the leadership position you had now, with all the mistakes that you made, with all the things? How did you manage that?
I mean, you need to just show up every day. You know, I had also like a hair madras in the restaurant, and some nights I was so tired I didn't have energy to actually put in the electric contact to. So I put 3 chairs in the restaurant to sleep on. I mean, that was, you know, that's how exhausted I was when you work in that temple. So I mean, but I felt like, and also still I am doing, like everything I do is becoming my lifestyle. You know, I've never seen it as work in the way, or I need to, or forced to, or, you know, of course you have some days that you are more tired than anything, and it's not about motivation. I think the key is like the discipline, you know, and also you're like, when you have a responsibility from other people as well, you know, you really feel that, and if you take that seriously, then you don't see any other option, you know. So and that's something you carry around your shoulders. But that's why I wanted to sell and do my exit and leave and do something else, or, you know, explore the world a little bit. But when I was 21, I signed a very, very bad deal. So simple thing is like that I couldn't sell myself out with the approval of the majority owners, because we put the company together because it became pretty big. So I got screwed over. My first company that I owned. So I lost everything. I took it to court, but we was fighting for 3 years. But for me, it was like, this is a prison. You know, for the last 3 years, it's like, am I going here with significant of money because of my companies, or will I end up losing my company and own their money for the lawyers and stuff? I was like, that's a big risk, you know. And wait, so I told my lawyer, like, listen, tell him to keep everything. I just want to start off from scratch. He was like, no, you're stupid to do that. You don't leave it after fighting 3 years. But I like, no, you know, I can do it again. You know.
Where did the confidence came from?
I'm not sure. I mean, I built everything from scratch. I was nobody, no education. I didn't even finish high school. So I think like, I was like, believed that, my curiosity can take me places, you know. So I was like, no, tell them to keep everything. I don't care. I want to start over. And as long as I can walk away from here, so I don't feel like I'm in a prison. So that's what I did. They accepted the deal the same day, and
yeah, of course they accept that deal. Of course they accept that deal.
Yeah,
it was like, here you have all my companies that I worked 2 years for. You can have it.
Yeah.
Ciao. Have a good day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It would be stupid for that company. No, come on, fight us. Come on. Why don't you fight?
Yeah,
that would be weird if they do that.
I mean, it was a shit show, the whole thing. But I think like it proves now that I was right. You know what I mean? That it's all about the mentality. You know, you can do it again. And I think that's the difference when you actually build something yourself, right? If I was handed to, I don't know like how it works. I feel I'm looking more for like this. Like I'm more grateful for the experience, and luckily the mistakes was not that high, or consequences was not that high, and I show myself again that I can build up myself again, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the 3 lessons, if you had to point out 3 lessons from that?
Yeah, very good question. I haven't thought about that in many years, but I would say make sure that you go into business with people who have integrity like yourself. Because I like to be high integrity. I think
How do you check that?
It's very hard to check, but I think like for me it feels better now in a way because when you work in hospitality you learn how to read people in a way. But I think like paperwork wise, I think that needs to be in order. When you go into business with people you maybe don't know, I think even if you know them, you should do it anyway. But it's very hard to start a business with others, I think, in the whole beginning, because you put a lot of things in risk and everybody. But I think like if you make a clear path, what is the roles? I think that helps out.
Yeah.
What other things did I learn? Oh, I think I learned a lot, to be honest. But if you're thinking about like the lesson when losing everything, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to so much, in some way. It's a positive some way, but I think like in some way work. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say exactly. I need to
So wanting too much at the same time?
Maybe, yeah. Because, but in that age, it's very hard as well. Because when you're so young, and you got the publicity, and it's very hard to not be humble.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of lessons in that time, and that's why I think it's very hard for me to take a lot of lessons from that, because it's like I'm so different person right now compared to that.
And the things that you did back then are additional to the person you are right now.
Exactly, yeah. So it's very hard, but I'm super happy that I even got the chance to do it, and learn the hard way, but with no big, I call it no big consequence, right? Because it could end up differently if I had a lot of money that I was owed.
Yeah.
To pay that off in a as an employed person, it's impossible, because
then you were really in a prison. But then, okay, you learned the lessons, and then you moved to Norway.
Yeah.
Why did you move to Norway?
Why I moved to Norway is mostly because of the media publicity, because there was a lot of writing at that time, right? So I felt like, and a lot of questions every time I went to grocery store and how's it going, and so for me it was like more an escape, because I had a friend already in Norway, to get off the media, get off the people, get off the questions, In that time I didn't want to talk to anybody, and I think from that time I think that also created a different version of me. Is like I went from super successful to have absolutely nothing, because when I got fired from all the companies, because I also was a CEO for every company, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any savings. I didn't have anything, The only thing I owned was on the paper, but the paper is worth nothing when you can't sell it.
Yeah.
So in that time, I had literally zero money. I had like no money at all. And all, for example, cars, house, everything was in the company, right? So that was the first time in my life I actually went to bed hungry. And I never forget that, because I couldn't sleep. I think a lot of people in Scandinavia will never experience this, or around the world, to be honest. The feeling, it was like, of course I could help, ask for help for money or whatever, but I didn't want to do that. It's maybe not a proudness, but I felt like I was so in a low time of my life. But I remember when I was laying to bed hungry, I was like, this is the worst feeling in the world,
Yeah.
And I will never end up here again. That was my goal, So that was keeping me fighting.
For how long did it last?
I think the worst was like 2-3 weeks until I got into something. But in that time I had no motivation to do anything, because it was very, very hard and
Yeah, you had a lot and then you had nothing.
exactly, yeah, and it takes some time to what can I say? So I was like in a vacuum, it's like after that I don't remember so much, but one thing I knew, like, I'm not gonna lay down here and die, feel sorry about myself or keep going, survival mode kind of. So yeah, it was a very, very hard time, and
What did you do?
in that time, or
in that time after the 3 weeks? So you had 3 weeks where you went to bed hungry, and then what was the turning point for you?
I was start to work, but I didn't want to work as a manager or leading companies, and and also people didn't believe me. I mean, in our family, it's like 21 years old and run the several hotels or restaurants, and you are also the owner. Like, give me a break. That was like literally all the majorities.
So no one believed you were broke.
No, yeah, exactly. No, I also not believed that I actually had done that. So, because at that time you couldn't you need to do some research, but it was not easy to find the newspapers and everything from you. But I was working as a waiter, I think, and then in the kitchen, yeah. Because in that time I was like, what? Until the court is done, I can just have a work that I don't need to think. First, I want to work in a grocery store, sitting there in cashier and just
Get money in.
just get.
Don't think.
You know what I mean? It sounds super strange, right? I mean, compared to what I actually did, built, and then you end up there. But I was like exhausted in that time, so that's what I was doing. For 2-3 years.
So for 2-3 years, from having multiple companies,
Mm.
you went to just get out of this and
Do something simple.
wait tables and
Yeah, because I couldn't focus so much either, because everything was hanging like, what is going to happen with me, Am I going to own money? Or am I going to be super rich? Or what is actually going on, So it was like a prison for those years for me. Like, I couldn't study, I didn't want to get a girlfriend, So
it was a bit of. I get what you mean if you said like that you were in that void.
Yeah.
Just head down, do the work.
Yeah.
Get your head off all the thoughts that are in your mind. Back then, because I think those were not the nicest thoughts as well.
Totally, yeah.
Depending on your situation.
Yeah.
And then at some point, because you did that for 2-3 years,
Yeah.
that wasn't done. You're
Yeah.
still in Norway. You still live in Norway. Well, actually, you're gonna move to Bali, but
I was. That's the first time I actually accepted a position to lead a restaurant, and then I started to get my motivation again. So I wanted to be the best in the world in the restaurant industry. So I got that dream again. So I moved to London and got a super, super cool mentor, Michael Moore. So I really went all in to be the best. I wanted to meet.
how did you meet him?
I met him in the restaurant I was leading first. So he was like, he's a cool guy, and talked about him, and So I think he saw some potential in me as well, and introduced me to really cool, a lot of Michelin star chefs in London as well. And but then I realized after 6-7 months, like, I can't be the best in the world in the front of house as a general manager, or because you need to be a chef again, So that. That
Back
really,
at square one.
exactly, yeah. I was like, God damn, But I mean, since then, moved back to Norway and was thinking like what I want to do, and I continued with building restaurants and hotels for other companies. So that became my thing, And while I was doing it, I was building several companies on the way.
Like what?
It was like a car industries. I mean,
Totally different.
oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, I literally I like to start up new companies with friends, and and move them forward, and
Just hustle.
exactly, yeah. So
Just hustle.
that's why I mean it's like, for example, this company Fly with Points that I had now for its new start for 2 years. it's also very, very fun company because, again, I was not starting it to earn money, and it was just for fun, but it had become a company now. So it's really, really fun how I just come up with ideas when I get so inspired when I travel or when I see stuff and talk to people. And
so what's your secret if you build so much companies, if you set up so much companies, and I think you do it with people, because it's not possible to do it all alone. What's your secret? What's your approach?
I mean, right now I just do it with people I like, you know. And also, of course, if they are the same or done the same journey as I have done, in the kind of way to understand, because I think like it's very, very, very hard to find people who really wants to put the work. That is, I think, the main issue. So right now, I like, for example, fly with points that we have fly with points. That I did alone, for example, because it's very hard to find a partner in that way because it was kind of my specialty. But I think, I like to just have a good time with people, you know.
And when you have a good time with people, you can manage everything in a way that it's fun, and when it's fun, it becomes easier to do.
Yeah, and also when they have the finance in order, also, so it's not going to be a pressure, you know. Because I think like when I work with several other companies, where the money is like critical for them to succeed, the need to succeed, right? It's a positive way because they have a different drive, but they mostly take decisions by their feelings, you know? And that's very dangerous, I think. You know, you need to be distancing yourself and don't have that ego to be in the company. I think when you don't have the ego, you can do a lot of cool things, you know?
Yeah, because then you can work together better with people. When you can work together better or communicate better in that way.
Totally, yeah.
Because you can put yourself aside,
you can think more rational, you know? Not like an ego, what you want, and this is how it's gonna look, and I want to be in the front, and, you know? Then it's always gonna end up bad, you know?
Yeah.
So I think people is very important. I mean, it's always fun to do company with others because you'll have someone to spare with, you know. I felt that sometimes when I started that company as well, like, it was so lonely. But at the same time, I need to learn it too. Like, you need to handle the loneliness as well. So it's a good part, you know.
Yeah, I think traveling alone helps a lot with that as well.
Oh, 100%. I mean, your own peace, I have understood this the last years, like, I value my peace, you know.
What does that mean to you?
It's just like, for me, it's like I don't see any issues in the world, you know, in my life or around it. I only see solutions. That's the only thing. Like, so I don't get stressed out if I have an issue. Let's fix it, you know.
What can we do to make it better?
Totally, yeah. And if we can't do anything about it, then let's don't worry about it. Then we can't do anything.
It's not in your circle of influence.
Do you know what I mean? So that is why I call peace in some way, you know. And I needed to learn it also when I was younger, because you're gonna meet a lot of people that is going to use you, you know, and don't want you to do well, you know. People are very jealous, to be honest. You'll be very surprised how, and this, I think it's very surprising because I don't have any jealousy, you know. I like to hear when people do good. I'm so happy for them, you know. I know exactly how it, you know, what you have been through, you know. Sometimes people have an easy journey, some people have a hard journey, but
it really comes in seasons.
Totally, yeah.
It really comes in seasons, and it's funny because I need to record a video today.
Yeah.
For the same YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the moment I'm broke.
Yeah.
Like, I'm broke, still in Bali, so can't complain.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment I'm broke, and that's nice because I've been broke before. So that now you have the skill sets to build upon, because from the first time you're broke, you build it up, then you become broke again, and now you have options, you have people, you do things that you like, and you can build back up again.
Yeah.
So
totally, yeah.
And think most people don't understand that, but also the shift it brings you to know that you have seasons.
Yeah.
Seasons when you're up, seasons when you're down, and it's all fine. It's
Totally,
just
yeah.
how you manage it that matters.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about money, 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 and nobody talk about your own journey, you know? I think having your own house, when I say your own house, is literally you, your brain, in order before you can be becoming successful, you know? That's I think that is the most important one than chasing the money. I mean, don't get me wrong, when you have a little bit of money, you can buy yourself a little bit of freedom and free space and time, and that's how you normally develop your brain, what you want, what you don't like, you know, what do I want to become. You start to be more reflective of your life when you have money. That's how I have seen it, you know, to get you that space. But you don't need too much money, but you need a little bit of money so you just don't need to think about the next rent, right? Or go to bed hungry, or, you know. But when you have done that, then you start to build your own journey. And I think that is more important, because how I see life today is like, I'm so happy, you know, but I don't need money, you know, in that way. Like, I mean, it would be nice to have money, but I don't need to have a lot of money, because I have found my own peace, you know. I understand that, of course, it's fun to have a lot of cars or houses over here and there, but I'm not chasing the same thing in the same way, because, you know.
And you've been there.
Yeah.
You've been there, that at some point you had the successes, you had the cars, the houses and everything, that you were able to do that. You've been there.
I think
so
that's
it's also experience.
I think so. I mean, everybody needs to go through the phases, you know. I don't believe in the way that you can be taught or learned the mistakes. You need to do these mistakes, you know. For example, let's say if you want to have bought a lot of Louis Vuitton bags, for example, I will never do it today. You know what I mean? But I needed to do it to, you know, that was a milestone. And then I realized, like, that was so unnecessary. Why do I want to have them just to, you know? But it's done. I think it's very important. But no one could actually taught me this or tell me this. Yeah, they can, but I think I will never listen anyway. You know, you need to go through that journey anyway, you know. And my father, like, he never liked that I was spending so much money on parties, on travel. And I told him, this is the best decision I've done in my life, to invest in yourself. Because, yeah, I could buy more houses or apartments or, you know, buying stocks or bitcoins or whatever. But right now I just want to have a good time when I'm young. I want to experience as much as possible when I'm young. And look what I'm in today, you know. I've met a lot of cool people. I know people around the world because I've been using my money what 99% people call stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's, again, if you frame it just rationally.
Yeah.
You're broke, what do? Yeah, go to Bali. What? That's weird. Like, that's a weird decision making, but
no, I don't think so.
If I didn't took that, we would not have this conversation that I genuinely like and already learn a lot from you.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's the same, that you can choose how to spend your money, and sometimes the way you spend it has a certain outcome without you knowing it, but you can see that later on.
100%.
And that's life, that's a gamble.
And I think Bali is one of the best places, to be honest, if you want to be successful and learn and meet. You've got to meet, of course, a lot of scammers. It's easy to show them off, but I have met a lot of really cool people here, you know, that are really successful, and, you know, that gets me inspired, you know, and how people can help me out, and we can help each other, and the mentality here is like not a show off. You know, people are very humble and doing very, very successful. If you compare that to what I feel about Dubai and Miami and stuff, I don't like that vibe, you know, because it's all about show off. So I think, honestly, Bali is the place to be. I mean, I met 2 other guys from Sweden here 3 weeks ago. We're going to start a new company next week. So that's what I mean.
That's how it happens.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I'm still curious, because in the end, like you did multiple companies, you did multiple things, but how did you build the wealth in that? How did you in the end create the position to travel, to spend the stupid money, to do? How did in the end did you do that?
I mean, very hard. I mean, like I said, I don't think I've been driven by money. So let's say for this fly with points that goes very well, and gives people a lot of value. You know, so the whole company is about, we are like a booking agency that help you to book your flight tickets with your miles. So we help to find
the miles you collect with American Express.
Yeah, for example, or with the airline, or you know, with some countries have like a grocery stores that you earn a lot of miles that you can transform to.
You have grocery stores with earning points?
I mean, no,
that would be really cool. But
I can tell it like this: in Norway is one of the best countries in the world to collect flight miles. So they have grocery stores there that you can literally it was like a TikTok video that went viral. It was very funny. So I found a small hack in the store. So they had like diapers. This is gonna sound crazy, but they had diapers in that store. So if you bought diapers, you got 50% in like a credit to their store. But with this credit from the store, you can transfer them to an airline called SAS. So I was calculating on, I was like, shit, that's a really good, you know, bonus you get from that. So I was calculating, I was like, shit, if I use around 800 euros, I will get enough miles to buy myself a flight ticket in business class back and forth to New York or Tokyo or Miami. You know, I was like, and the ticket online costs 4,000 or 5,000 euros, right? So I was like, shit, this is a really cool deal, you know? So I made a video about it, like, hey, look, you can buy diapers, 800 euros, and you get a new flight ticket to in business class, right? So that's what we do. Like we have online courses right now, and only in Scandinavian markets, so we can learn people how to actually start to collect more flight miles, so they can use it for tickets. And then we have a booking agency that books or find the flights for you. We can actually book in all programs around the world, but we have just focused on right now in Scandinavia. I didn't have so much more time to expand it, but I'm looking into it now actually. So you pay like a set fee, you don't pay anything if you don't choose to book. So you pay 150 euros to us if you want to travel in business class. We find the tickets, you accept, we booked everything for you, and it's done. So let's say for me, I haven't paid any of my flights since back 6 years now, I think. So the only thing I pay is flight taxes, and that's can be everything from 5 euros to 108. I think 200 euros is the highest ticket I have paid for. 200 euros, 220.
Yeah, so to narrow down to the answer of the question, then we can fully dive into Fly with Points.
Yeah.
Every business you had was not money driven but value driven, and because it was value driven, money became a byproduct of that, and that's how you build the wealth to spend the stupid money.
I think so, yeah, 100%, yeah, totally, yeah.
And now let's dive into Fly with Points, because that's a really, really cool company, and it's nice because every time you just slip it through the conversation, you're so passionate about it.
Oh yeah.
You're so passionate about getting the points to fly free or to fly with a discount.
It's literally, you know, I remember my first flight, when I paid in business class, it cost me 50 euros. It was to Miami. And I was sitting in the flight seat. First time in my life I was flying business class. I felt I did something illegal, you know? Or maybe the flight attendant was like, excuse me sir, I see that you only paid 50 euros, but you can sit back in the economy because we have another important guest, you know? I was like, shit, this was so cool. I mean, that champagne, I don't think it was champagne, tasted so well. I mean, like, what the hell am I experiencing, you know? I'm like, I'm living the rich life, sitting in business class and paid 50 euros. So, I mean, it's all about, I always been in love to help out people, to be honest. To help people who don't have money or to do cool stuff, so that's why I started this company, to actually help out people who can't afford to take their families abroad, to fly in business class. Or they don't need to fly in business class, but save them money to get the tickets, you know? Yeah. But I forgot your question now because I went into something else, right?
Yeah, you're really passionate about fly with
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that this story came up. And then the question on that is like, how did it start? What was the first time it started? I read it in a blog as well.
It was when I was in a flight to Tokyo in first class with ANA, All Nippon Airways. And I remember it was 2 years ago. A lot of my friends wrote me and thought I was insane. And I didn't understand what they meant, you know. They're like, we see how much you paid for that flight ticket. Almost 30 grand, right? 30,000 euros. I was like, no, I didn't pay for it. They thought I was lying, you know. I was like, no, I'm not lying. Why would I even pay? I would never pay for that ticket, 30,000 euros. Are you crazy? They're like, no, we know that you paid for that ticket. You will do stuff like that, you know. I was like, no, look, show them the receipt, right? So it was 180 euros back and forward in first class. And they was like, wow, how is that even possible, you know? I'm like, didn't you know about the miles, like credit cards? And then I realized, like, shit, okay, if my friends that I feel like one of the smartest people I know, they even know about this, then what about other families? What about other people who don't know about this, you know? This could be a very, very cool idea. So that's how I started. So 5 weeks later, I opened up a new company and everything was done. So, and I wanted to go out and help as much people I can to do it.
And how do you do it? Like, how do you structure your things in such a way that you can collect the points and that you can fly freely?
Yeah, I mean, this could actually be for everyone, wherever you are in the world, but I think the best way is to actually get credit cards from the airline where you're based in the country. So, for example, MasterCard and American Express is the most common cards to have with the different airlines. So, for example, in Norway, I have the SAS, the Scandinavian Airlines, MasterCard, and also Scandinavian Airlines, American Express. So that's those two cards I always use for everything. So I collect miles every time I buy something.
Yeah, for a Dutch one, I know American Express also has a KLM.
KLM, right? Yeah. So that's the most important one, to get the credit cards. So I tell everybody, like, before you do that, please have your finance in order, because if you don't pay the bill the next month, you will pay a lot of high interest, right? And if you started to pay a lot of interest to the banks, then the whole point to kind of fly for free is over, you know? So it's to have the economy in basic and on order. That's the most important one. And for example, in Norway, we have grocery stores. So I tell people, like, go to this specific grocery store, you can get a little bit more extra points. So you can transfer them to the airline. Because some of the other stores, they have their own loyalty program. So it's also about it's all about much more about where you spend your money, not how much you spend. But of course, if you spend a lot of money, like for example, we have a lot of billionaires, like one of the richest people in Norway, that are using our services. I mean, they can buy private jets easily, but he told me, listen, if I can save 400,000 to 1 million euros, like you said, I do it any time of the day, you know? So it's all about where you spend your money, not how much. But if you have a high spend, it's gonna get you to the goal quicker. So everybody will manage to get one business class tickets a year, easy, without having a high salary or whatever. Because you can pay your bills with credit cards, for example. That's also an easy way. So you have a lot of these moments. So the only difference, like I said to people, is can you travel one time a year or several times a year? That's the big difference.
And then you collect the miles and
then I fly around the world.
Yeah, because when we dig into that, 90 hours, 30 minutes,
Oh my god.
23 flights.
I know.
17 countries.
Yeah, I know.
In 9 days.
Yes, that's insane. So I know, it's insane. Okay, so backstory on that one. Scandinavian Airlines, they went into a new alliance called SkyTeam. So they went out like late October, like we are going to give you 1 million euro bonus points if you tried 15 different airlines in the SkyTeam before New Year. When I first read that, I was like, this is insane. You know, who's gonna do that? You need to literally fly around the world to get all the airlines, right? Because the one is based in South America, Asia, you know, it's crazy. It took me a day, and then my friend told me like, Amir, if someone's gonna make it, it's gonna be you, you know? Okay, shit, let's do it then. You know, so I started to look into it. And I was like, and I, you know, like I like to do a challenge and for myself as well. So I was like, you know what? Let's do everything in one trip, you know. And looking back to it, I'm very happy and lucky that I actually made it, to be honest. Because, I mean, if one flight was delayed or cancelled, the whole Domini, you know, I will fail everything, right? And that actually happened so many times. I mean, I had flight cancellation, delays. So I still managed to survive, you know. But yeah, that was insane. Yeah. So I'm happy that I made it. To be honest, alive as well.
Why?
So, well, I mean, so many things that happened on that trip. I mean, I can't believe it. You know, everything from like sitting in a taxi in China. I couldn't pay with credit cards, or I didn't have any service on my phone, and it didn't, you know. They only had like Apple Alipay,
yeah.
And I couldn't pay because I didn't have any service on my phone. So he kicked me out in the middle of the street in the taxi. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. You know, it was a lot of drama. So it was very fun, but it was a lot of drama.
What's the most interesting thing you experienced within the whole trip?
I mean, that must be the China thing, you know, kicked out from a taxi. I had 1 hour to my flight was departure, and I had literally no idea where I was. And no one could communicate with me because no one talked English, so, and I was too far away, and I couldn't order a new taxi, you know, because I was like, literally, I have no money. So I met a really nice guy. We communicated through an app on his phone, so he was kind enough to pay me a new taxi to the airport, but it ended up with that I jumped into a wrong taxi because she showed that she was going to the airport, but I was like, this is not the same number, but she's like, no, come in. So I was like jumping in, it was a wrong taxi. So she forced me to pay as well. I didn't have the money, so I got trouble in the airport with the securities because she was screaming, like really screaming. I was like, that time I was like, this is not happening, man. This is not fucking happening. So yeah, that was a crazy thing that I even survived. But yeah.
Especially in China, though.
I mean, that was, you know,
because they're really. When I flew to Bali, I had a layover in China.
Right.
And they're really strict on all the controls
But you know, imagine this also. Before I came to China, I have been in London, USA, Nairobi, Saudi Arabia, Taipei, and Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam. In what, 3 days? They had so many questions, man. They had so many questions, man. And they didn't understand, like, you had a Swedish passport, but don't look Swedish. And I have been to like 8-9 countries in 3 days, you know. They had a lot of questions, if I can tell you that, you know.
Was it like that the more airports you went to, the more questions came up? Or?
No, actually not. China was the only one, actually. So I was like, I tried to explain, like, yeah, it's a challenge, you know. Like super serious, like 3 people literally standing in the screens, you know. And I was like, is there any issue? They didn't say anything, you know, literally nothing.
But this is only for collecting miles, but you also have a trick for booking hotels.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. you know, many of the major hotel chains have something they call a price match guarantee. So it means that they are always guaranteed the best price on the website. And if some of the chains like Hilton promise you that if you find a cheaper price somewhere else, they will match that price and additionally give you a 25% discount. So I actually, most of the hotels that I found is actually in the United States. If you're in the States, this is really, really easy trick to do. So I always go to hotels.com, log out so you can see all the prices, right? And then search, for example, for Hilton. Then you see if you have any hotels that have a discount on the Hilton page. Because they normally do a lot of, or Marriott or so. So when you find it, you're like, okay, here's 30% discount on this Hilton hotel. Compare that to Hilton's own website. Because normally when the hotels.com have like a percentage of discounts, Hilton never have it. And then when you find that difference, then you print screen. I normally do like book the hotel on hotels.com and book the hotel also in Hilton's website. But lately they have been very fair. I just do a print screen. But anyway, you can book those two. It means to be like the same thing, like same cancellation, amount of people, same room category, and so on. And then you send in a claim in the website. You get the answer 24 hours. That's how I say.
And you get the price difference.
So you
and
get
the discount.
And the discount. So, I mean, in average, I save around between $150 to $200 a night by doing that. So, and that's what you can do. Same thing with Bali. I have done it several times here in Bali with a agency that rent out villas. I just find the same villa in Airbnb, and I always find out that the Airbnb is always a little bit cheaper. So I compare those two. So I send it to them like, hey guys, I want to rent this villa, but if you can give me a much better price than Airbnb, I gladly book it with you straight away. Or if not, I just book it through the Airbnb. And why is that? It's because they pay a very, very high commission, right? So Hilton probably pays, I don't know, but let's say average in hotels.com is 25%.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very high commission. So they rather get you in than paying the commission to the agency.
So for them, giving you the discount is actually cheaper than...
Totally, yeah. So let's say Airbnb take 15%. So they maybe give me another 5% or 10%. So that's something you can negotiate. So that's how you save money on your hotels, just to be a little bit curious, you know?
Well, after Bali I go to Malaysia and I still need to book everything, so I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, do it, yeah, look into it. I mean, it's like a little bit of research, right? So, and I think the major hotels internationally, I think it's Marriott and the Hilton. I always find the loopholes, to be honest. So it's a little bit secret tip.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
So what's next?
Well, actually, you know, next week we're actually launching a new company, me and my three partners that I met in Bali. It's called Eat Ninja.
Eat Ninja?
Eat Ninja. So it's a restaurant app that is for free for restaurants that can put in offers in the app, and then the users use them to fill up the restaurants on the time slots and the days they are empty. So it's a win-win for both the clients and for the customers.
Nice.
So it's going to be a very, very exciting time. So that's why I'm going back to Norway now to launch it there, because that's my home base. And then we'll see what we do, because we want to take the Asian market. So, but I think maybe we focus on Scandinavia first and then we do the Asian market. But that's how we're going to do a decision together. So it's going to be very fun.
Nice. And if people want to see the whole journey with you traveling the countries, they can go to the Instagram of your company, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's called Fly med poäng. We can actually put the tag. Yeah, exactly. It's a Norwegian name, so translated to it as Fly with points. So hopefully we're gonna get the international company going as well. So it's gonna be fun.
And if they want to catch up with you in any way, how? Just I leave your Instagram and everything in the description as well.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And if there's one thing you want to say to everyone who's listening and listen to your whole story so far? I have no clue how long we recorded actually. I think we're a bit over time, so maybe someone is waiting outside the studio, but that's fine. If there's one thing you want to say to them, hello, it's about you.
Hi.
What would you want to say?
I would say I have one policy in my life that actually helps me out, and it's always go to bed with a good conscience. And that means for me that I go to bed, I don't lie, I don't cheat, I always try my best, put everything I can do the best way and be kind to people every day. And when I wake up the day after, I have nothing to worry about. So that's, I think, how I find my happiness is to, be a good person, go to bed with a good conscience, and you will wake up happy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. For inviting me, I mean.
Literally it was yesterday evening, around 12 o'clock, in the same co-working where we are right now. When I start talking to you.
No, it's crazy, right?
Okay, cool, let's do a podcast.
That's what I mean. This is Bali.
This is Bali.
Yeah.
Gonna have a lot of fun here.
Come to Bali.
Come to Bali.
Yeah, exactly.
Come to Bali, Habibi.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.